Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today I'm going to be going over the new Gems of War Mythic of Morthani's Darkness, and it's actually kind of usable this time for once. I'm actually really looking forward to it. It's very similar to quite a few other troops while being unique, so pretty cool. Of course, it's the first Friday of the month, so I end up coming in, as is every first Friday in Gems of War. It's in the Glory Gem Guild and VIP chests, and then we'll be in the drop table with everything else. So let's go obtain this troop, go over it, and do some teams for it, all which will be in the description below, as far as overall first impressions on it. So first things first, let's go to the troop itself. If we go over to Unowned, we can see it right here, Morthani's Darkness. So what does it do? It steals a bunch of life from 4 random enemies and then summons Morthani's Will. Morthani's Will is, if we go over here to Morthani's. So Morthani's Will is this thing. It steals a bunch of armor from an enemy, deals a basically 0 amount of true damage, but enough to get rid of barrier or something, and then drains their mana and gains half of it. So let's say you drain 22 mana, well, you get all the mana back. Of course, very situational, but it tends to be good against some things that have really, really high mana costs, as you could just full mana drain into a second mana drain. Very situational, not really a troop you would ever start with your team on, but not a necessarily horrible summon. It has some score reduction, which, it's most likely going to be put into first slot anyways. And mana drain can be pretty decent, assuming the enemy doesn't have immune to it. It doesn't really have much follow-up in that regard, but still, it's an okay summon, not the worst. But interesting thing that it gets to do off its final trait, create an Uber Doomskull when its turn begins. So this is kind of similar to the Eye of Argris related mechanic, where it creates 2 Doomskulls at the start of every single turn. This is stronger, however, 1 Uber is still kind of nice. It's still technically the same amount of skull damage in that regard. It's a +10 compared to 2 +5s. But the way that the other one explodes is just slightly better, and creating 2 of them just makes it more likely that it'll land compared to only 1 of them. But it has potential for sure. So basically, it's similar to 3 other troops within the game. It's similar to Eye of Argris, because its final trait is basically that. It's similar to Draculus from its own kingdom, because Draculus is basically a lifesteal option. It steals a bunch of life from all enemies. So basically, it's doing it in 4 individual pokes. And keep in mind, this does say steal, so they are gaining the life. So she does gain every single bit of life when she does her ability, assuming you do that much damage. It does have a little bit lower damage than Draculus, so it is a little bit unfortunate in that regard. And it does have a 2 higher mana cost too, a 22 instead of a 20. So it does have that downside. However, its big upside is it's also like Tina 9000, where you can actually concentrate the damage. So if we go over to Tina and do that, we can end up seeing, of course, while it does have a higher damage range, and it only hits 3 times instead of 4. But it's the same premise, where you get to just hit randomly with a bunch of true damage. Tina is still going to be better securing a kill, as it is way more likely with this damage range that you will double tap kill something compared to doing it with 3 on the other. Because in a lot of situations, you're going to need 3 of the other hit to actually do enough damage. There are some situations where you can get double kill, in which case Morthani's Darkness will actually have a higher chance of killing. But based on its range, in most PvP-like situations, you will need 3 of these 4 hits to hit the same target, whereas it's way more likely for Tina 9000's 2 out of 3 hits to hit the same target comparatively. So overall, a little bit less likely there, but still has a chance of just getting a kill out of nowhere. So overall, I wouldn't say it's better than necessarily any of those other 3 troops, but it essentially combines all 3 of their capabilities into one single package, while also being from Ghulvania as a Divine Undead, which is unique, and we are utilizing that for one of the teams. But anyways, let's go obtain this thing and see what it can do. Similar to Eye of Argris, theoretically, there is a benefit to getting more than 1 of this. However, unlike Eye of Argris, I'm probably not going to bother. If we happen to get lucky and just randomly pull 2, then sure. But otherwise, yeah, it's not really going to be that big a deal to have multiple. I highly doubt you're going to be running like 2 or 3 of these into a team. There are definitely situations where you can get away with 1, though. But I don't see much of a need to mass spam this onto a team, at least comparatively to some other things we've had. Oh no! Oh, it's going to be one of those kind of days. Oh no! Oh gosh. Taking thousands to go get this thing. Definitely not ideal when that happens. But we will find it eventually. Good thing I started with 200. Imagine if I was doing the 50s. We're already, what, 2,000 down? 2,400? It happens sometimes. Approximately should be about 1,000 gem keys, but can get on the unluckier side. But there we go, and we're definitely only going for 1. But there it is, Morthani's Darkness, and that took us, what, almost 3,000 keys? Actually, I think exactly 3,000 keys, it looks like. Might be right on the dot there. Anyways, let's go upgrade this thing and see what it can do. Really looking forward to it. It's probably a troop I probably won't use too often, but I like the premise of it. I like things that are really unique like this that, you know, even if they aren't used too often, they at least have a reason to be used, unlike quite a few other things that are both useless and non-unique. But this thing is potentially useless, but actually very unique. No, it has potential. It's just going to be in very niche teams, and I feel like its main reason it will ever be used is, oddly enough, on 4 times Divine, and more so on 4 times Undead teams, are probably going to be its biggest benefits. Also, it is a mage, and while unlikely that you would go and mass upgrade this, that does mean it gains 6 additional magic, which of course, with that many true damage pokes, is a lot of potential additional damage. But anyways, let's go and get this thing. Go head over to Ghulvania. I guess I could also just type in Morthani's. We'll go over to Ghulvania. We can actually see it right over here with the other things from Ghulvania. And right next to Dracula's, which is very similar to. Really good synergy with Grey King, too, which we're actually utilizing for one of the teams here. Actually, the very first one. So let's go slot this guy in and see what we can do. So put that there, and put this over here. And let's go mess with PvP. I have no clue what my current PvP fight is. Hopefully it's nothing too annoying. Oh gosh, it's only Firebomb. Oh, we'll take on, oh, that's actually kind of funny. You know what? I'm actually not going to start with the Ghulvania team. I kind of wanted to. However, this is a perfect opportunity to go do the Skull Explode one. So, right here, we're running a Raft team using Eye of Argus, which is the other synergy troop I mentioned earlier. Not necessarily synergy, but thing that it's similar to. So as you can see here, this Uber Doom Skull is her creation. The 2 normal Doom Skulls are from Eye of Argus. The previous Mythic that was kind of like this. However, she creates the Uber Doom Skull at the start of every single turn. As you can see, generally creating 2 Doom Skulls is a little bit better because, look, we have a match here. Whereas, you know, only creating 1, very unlikely you'll end up getting a match. Though a little bit coincidental that the one happens to not be matchable. However, it is a lot more likely that you'll have it on the other thing. And one thing I didn't mention, just because it's basically just weaker Eye of Argus these days, but there is a third option that currently does it within the game, which is the Great Worm, which creates 2 skulls every single turn. However, it is stronger to create 2 Doom Skulls every single turn if you happen to have Eye of Argus. However, if you need a cheap, easy-to-obtain alternative, this is from a faction, so you can just get this from throwing a couple thousand shards at Worm Run, and, you know, you'll have yourself an equivalence that isn't Mythic. So even if you just started the game and you want, like, an alternative to kind of test out this mechanic, like Eye of Argus, her Uber Doom Skull and such, well, not quite exactly the same, you can just spam Great Worm, and it's very accessible compared to the Mythic alternatives. Anyways, what do we need here? We need you to go get mana so we can actually get things rolling. This team, you might notice, has no mana accumulator. That's because we're trying to mana accumulate off of Uber Doom Skulls and Doom Skulls, which is not the most consistent of things, but can be done. So it'll get a bunch of skulls there, though so will we as soon as we do our turn. You might notice we're getting additional explodes every single time. This is because every time we take a skull, we do 2 explodes with Wrath, and every extra turn we take, we also get 2 explodes. And those do stack, so there's 4 explodes every time both those 2 conditions are met. Ideally, we have alignment right here. I forget what his alignment is. Blue to brown and yellow to skull. That is aligned. Perfect. We'll take that. And almost enough to kill. Wish we had one more skull option on this because we only really get it at start of turn. So we don't get to fully utilize it. The one thing we do get to fully utilize here is, of course, something like Dracula's. You know, it splits its true damage across everything. So you can't get focus damage. But with this, we get to do a bunch of focus damage. So there's only 1 enemy left. It just hits all the true damage at once. We get our little Morthani's Will resummon, and we're good to go. So it always has like a little frontline tank to resummon in front of it to make sure it doesn't die. So that's pretty cool. There's like that whole little combo going on. Next we have, oh, I thought this was Infinite Loop Todd team for a second. Nope, it's just Infinite Loop Elf team. Oh, don't even bother with this one. That's a really annoying build. But, oh no, we'll try. We'll try the 4 times Undead against the 4 times Elf. Though it is Infinite Loop, so we might get completely destroyed here because our mana accumulator is not the quickest. We're not running like Leprechaun or anything here. But, I don't know, hopefully it doesn't get rolling. One can hope. I think I'll just take, what do we even need here? I guess we go for the, did I put the +1 on red or yellow? We put it onto red. I put the minus on the other. Of course that would happen when I only have access to the yellow right now. No! Because the premise is you would just go for the red. You know what? I'm going to try for Sky Gem. We got it! Nice! Hey, that's why you try for them. Okay, now we go for our Explode. That was the exact thing we needed there. Alright, we have our True Damage Poke. Not going to help us enough. We have a Skull Damage Poke over there. We are running Death Knight. This is 4 times Undead, so we're getting the full Ghulvania bonus. Actually, if you look right here, about to see like 1 billion stats coming in, a bunch of magic, bunch of just general stats all over the place. And that's from having 4 times Ghulvania. This entire team is Ghulvania. We're running Death Knight Hero class. Most noteworthy used for its final trait, where it death marks all enemies when it dies. And then once it dies, we can keep summoning Morthani's Will into first slot. Ideally, we want to try to get Possessed King up immediately. The best way to do that is brown right now. Once again, oh no, we do actually have a brown take, so you know what, we'll take that. Unfortunately, no Surge, and he's about to start Infinite Loop, so it's going to be one of those kind of situations, it looks like. I think we might have to hit the retreat button for a non-Infinite Loop team. Let's see, yeah, it's just going to be Infinite Loop. Let's try this again. This team doesn't have a quick enough start to deal with something like that. Here we go, here's, Essence of Evil could be annoying, but it should be fine. It does have the curse thing. All undeads have, like, immune to a couple things, with the Poison, Disease, Lycanthropy, and Death Mark. But once you get Essence of Evil on it, we won't have any immunes, as it doesn't have stun, and even if it did, it does have curse on it as well. But anyways, we'll take a pretty similar start, go just directly for the red. Unfortunately, did not get lucky on the Surge this time, so we are going to need that little bit of extra mana. We'll stick to brown, get our little true damage poke up. He has his Blesses going. We're just going to go for the Skull Poke, get a little bit extra damage in there. 2 Uber Doom Skulls next to each other. Don't see that too often. There aren't really that many things that create Uber Doom Skulls these days. We'll get that little bit of mana drain. I'm surprised he didn't manage to drain us back here. We'll go for the mana drain again. Those Blesses are going to be kind of annoying because it can't quite fully get rid of them. Normally that thing does absolutely nothing, but it does look like it gets some value this time around. But we'll go for a little bit of poke there. See if we can get some true damage. Get a bunch of mana drains all over the place. We'll take a little bit of mana there. Ghulvania has always been one of those locations I personally feel like hasn't had too many good options. Way back in the day, like, undeads weren't as bad, but it does look like we could finally get some value here. We could do this on the blue for some really good value, because that should do all the mana drain. We get the skull as well. We can then go for the concentrated true damage, and we should be able to secure a kill here. Wow, that distributed in one of the only ways it would not get a kill. Oh, that is so unlucky. We do have a little mini true damage here. We have 50% mana start on everything to get things rolling a bit quicker, as this is a pure undead team, might as well utilize that. But all we have to do is just get its ability up one more time, and that'll be enough true damage to poke out everything. We also have Grey King here for the disable and everything else. Also, can you please stop taking the mana drain gem? He keeps getting it every single turn, and I keep creating, like, Uber Doom Skulls for it, so it just keeps draining it from us. But there we go. We're going to have to kill with Grey King. Kind of want to finish it with the other troop, but we'll go for that and kill it out. Because pretty much everything on the team is a true damage option. And that definitely doesn't utilize Death Knight the way it normally is, because more often than not, Death Knight just wants to die, like, near immediately, and then get a bunch of value that way. Okay, let's go find a slightly harder fight than that. The Onus Tower, let's see, double immune one. Let's go find something a little bit different. That one wouldn't be too annoying, though. Here's Rope Dart. Rope Dart's actually available this week, if you're watching this as it's going out. Rope Dart's still available today, tomorrow, and Sunday for the Pride Lands event, and we'll be back whenever the next Pride Land event is as well. Anyways, next we're going to cheap team. I did put Tesla here just because Tesla's insane. Obviously, Tesla isn't the cheapest of option. You could end up replacing out with, like, Beatrix or something similar. Beatrix works really good, has a little bit of a brown synergy going on here. It's a Kingdom legend as well, or sorry, faction legend, so it's way easier to get than Tesla if you happen to not have Tesla. So just replace that out for Beatrix if you happen to not have Tesla. Otherwise, Tesla is just absolutely insane these days, as it's pretty much always been, but even more so in recent times, ever since the buff the other month. So unfortunately, a really underwhelming Leprechaun, but that is why we have Mountain Crusher here. So we'll need to get a little bit mana going from that. Does look like he's about to get Rope Dart rolling, which could be a little concerning. He's going to move something to first slot that we really don't want in first slot. You can also Armor Tier from us, which is something we do not want to see, as Armor Tier will end up making Tesla do less damage. That's one nice thing about this too, is this thing's true damage will not get in the way of Tesla's overall damage. And we'll just go for this. Ideally, try to bait out a Skull, because we don't want the alternative to happen. So we'll go for a Tesla, cast that thing's ability, and hopefully we can get a cleanup kill somewheres. Technically, based on overall damage, we'd actually want to cast this first, which, I don't know, should we go for it? I guess so. We'll go for this first, because that makes it more likely Tesla will get a cleanup kill. So, as you can see, we did get shifted to first slot. However, it got to steal all the life, which, in this case, is 200 life in this situation. And that's a pretty sizable amount of life. It's enough for it to survive for a little bit, which is kind of nice. We'll take our yellow here just to get it off the board. I cannot take that blue because we're frozen on it. So we'll go do that, get the cleanup, and all we have to do is just do that one more time. Even with very annoying Rope Dart, we should hopefully be okay here. The resummon would be absolutely amazing here. And if you could just not kill us, that'd be great. Of course you kill us. No. No. Well, we can end up utilizing it there. Let's try it again. Let's go find, let's see, is this Infinite Loop? Yeah, this Infinite Loop. Let's skip the Infinite Loops. Let's see. This is Infinite Loop Beatrix with Devour. We should be okay. Let's go for it. It's not as bad. Beatrix can Infinite Loop, but it tends to fail a lot of time, and we need that mana anyways. Alright, we'll go and take that over. Blue we're not frozen on, so we can take that. We're only frozen on brown and skull at the moment. So we'll do that, get our explode, get that rolling. Ideally, we'd get full mana here. We do just go poke over here, so we might as well do that to secure the kill. What's nice about this is the two of them can now concentrate their damage a little bit better, now that there's only 3 targets instead of 2. And as I mentioned before, we're generally going to want to cast Morthani's ability first. I actually took that deliberately not for a skull, so they have more armor, as we do need that for Tesla boost ratio. Otherwise, you would have taken the skull there. But we're going to go for this first. And now Tesla should be in range. Oh, there's only one issue with doing that, though. I forgot. He gains Submerge when he takes damage, which means we actually shouldn't have done it in that order, in this one rare circumstance, as her ability does bypass Submerge, whereas Tesla's ability does not bypass Submerge. This is because it's 4 individual hits. So even though theoretically you could hit once on every single enemy, it is calculated as just a single target hit, rather than Tesla's, which is distributing damage everywhere, which means her ability will not be blocked by Submerge, whereas Tesla's ability, as you'll see right here, will indeed be blocked by Submerge. So as you can see right there, he ends up surviving. But if we did it the other way around, it actually would have died, even though normally you'd want to do it the other way around for better damage. In that one rare circumstance, due to the bypassing of Submerge, it actually would have been better to do Tesla first, and then have done the new Mythic. But overall, impressions on the Mythic is, it's definitely usable. I could see myself using this into the future. Compared to Tina 9000 or Eye of Argyris, I don't see myself using it. Though I could definitely see myself using it more than Draculus. Draculus is just a very weird niche, where I feel like I would normally just use Scourge of Honor if I really wanted like a true damage that hits everything simultaneously. Whereas this is unique that it can concentrate the damage. I also feel like it's better than the other things that hit like, let's say like 4 times on a bunch of random enemies, but with physical damage, but harder hits. Stuff like that, I don't feel like it's as good. True damage options for those have always been better, most notably Tina 9000 in that regard. But even just 4 small hits with it, while it's less likely you'll get a kill with Tina 9000, if you have a true damage to go with it, like let's say a Beatrix or a not necessarily Draculus, but like a Grey King, like something else to kind of do a little bit of chip damage to go with it, it can kind of be pretty good, because that will make it more likely that you can end up getting into the range that you need for its true damage to be able to double tap. Because the biggest issue that it has is that full durability, at least in the current state of the game against similar statted enemies in a PvP-like situation, is 2 hits of true damage will not be enough to kill. You're going to need the 3rd. And that makes it a lot less likely it'll kill. However, it is more likely to kill than Tina 9000 if you have a true damage synergy that chips them down into 2-hit range and then cast her, because then at that point you only need 2 of the 4 hitting rather than 2 of the 3 compared to Tina 9000. So there will be some niche instances where it gets used, but similar to a lot of Mythics, it just doesn't have a mana follow-up. This makes it very slow against infinite loops and other similar things, as you probably saw during this. Those are very prevalent teams in the current state of the game, pretty much always has been. So anything that doesn't have follow-up on its ability, kind of a huge liability. Some it doesn't matter as much because they do so much value off their ability that, it doesn't ultimately matter. But she needs a whole cast of true damage before she can really fully utilize her true damage, which is a huge liability for how long that takes to get rolling. Compared to other things, they could just cast, get their mana back, cast again, and, you're good to go. But overall, it's usable. As far as getting it, I would say it's pretty situational. You might just want to wait for the next Ghulvania event and just throw some event keys. It's definitely not a must-have. But of course, if you just go for completionist, it is another star towards Ghulvania. Actually, does it end up getting a star? I guess in theory it does. It's currently blocked by Kingdom level. But theoretically, just move to 27 or 28 star, whatever it's at these days. But you're probably blocked on the Kingdom level. Because it's a purple kingdom, so there's no point in upgrading this place ever beyond this point. Also, why are we missing a pet? Apparently we're missing a pet somewhere in there. But there's no point in getting it higher, because this is a purple-based kingdom. And you should be putting all your purple-based kingdoms into magic-based kingdoms. There's Karkaroth, there's Zolkari's green. There's not Bright Forest. There's Darkstone. There's Blighted Lands. There's Silverglade. Like all of these are purple-based magic kingdoms that are way better value because they're magic. So this place is pretty much never going to be higher than this star level. Even if they add a way to get like near infinite deeds, this is like the last purple kingdom you would ever upgrade. So this place is pretty much permanently stuck at power level 26 for the foreseeable future, at least for years, if not literally forever. At least a current state of game of obtaining deeds. So yeah, this place is pretty much stuck there. But hey, at least it's easier to get to 26 power, if nothing else, with that troop being added. But overall, it's an average troop, slightly above average, has utility purposes, not completely useless like some things we've been getting, like, the campaign mythic. Like, compared to the campaign mythic, I would almost never use this. We still never covered a video on it, probably still will, though he's a lot less relevant. But this is a true damager that I don't feel like I would ever really use going forward, for the most part. Like, it's very niche, has that death mark mechanic, but there's other things that do that. There's, like, death itself and other similar things. And if we really want something that does really overall good value, we'd use, like, Lord of Slaughter or something. However, I can actually see myself using this new Mythic. It has its niche. It'll be brought out occasionally. It has its purposes here and there. And, you know, it's unique enough while still being similar to other things we already know within the game. So that's kind of cool. And if nothing else, it's a Uber Doomskull mechanic, which there are very few of within the game right now. There's a single-digit number, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even slightly less. Well, obviously, somewhere's in single-digit, but, you know, I think it's like 4 or 5 things in the entire game that even do Uber Doomskulls currently. So another one for the pile, if nothing else. Anyways, guys, if you still have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. All of the teams we just went over are in the description if you want to mess with any of them. And if you are going for this Mythic over the next week, also, it will be available until the end of Thursday, until Friday reset next week. It's kind of hard to tell right here because for whatever reason, they have a timer on, like, literally every single page. Well, almost every single page. That one doesn't have one. But for whatever reason, Mythics still have no timer. I don't understand this. But yeah, Thursday, end of Thursday, Friday reset time is when you have to try to get this Mythic. So I would advise it. But you could also just wait to event key during Ghulvania, as they're a slightly better one. Like Grey King, I would say, is definitely better than this. If you don't have Grey King, you might just want to wait to event key during a Ghulvania event. And if you do have Grey King, then yeah, it would be perfectly fine to go for this now. But if you're still missing Grey King, you might want to wait and just event key then, as you'd get more overall value from trying for Grey King than you will from using Morthani's Darkness. But it's still a good troop overall. Anyways, guys, have a wonderful weekend. I'll catch you guys later, and thank you so much for watching.